I'm sure that this is an impressive collection. I'm sure some of these cards might be worth a little bit more than others. Even I'm guilty of this, and I have my fair share of Gundam. But I have nowhere near as many as these. I might have like the top row worth of Gundam, but this guy has a lot of Gundam. And Gundam does hold its value as well. You know, you could resell, you can buy a kit, make it, and then sell it, and you'll sell it for like maybe like 5, 10, 20 bucks off what you paid for it to build it, and you'll basically make your money back if you really needed to get rid of these. Now, let's get back to the idea of why I hate Funko Pops again. They're a ripoff of what they're really supposed to be. Oftentimes what people do is they buy one, it starts off with one, then they have a whole wall of shame of Funko Pops, when they would have been better off just buying one really nice high quality statue that won't take up a lot of space, and it will wow you, and it will wow people who come over, and they end up just doing that. And we talked about how, you know, people are limited in space, and how I think cards might be one of the best collectibles someone can buy, simply because how much money, how much you can have in such a small amount of space. And another example of this would be something like silver. Okay? Silver holds value. I'm not trying to sell you silver, but I'm just trying to use this as an example too. But at a certain point, you could buy bricks of silver and it could take up an entire room. So you know what you do? You start buying gold. Because this one little ounce of bar of gold, I don't know the spot price right now, like $2,500, $3,000, I don't know. But you can buy this one little piece of gold and see how much space it takes up for $3,000. You can fill an entire room full of gold and it'll be worth tens of millions of dollars, $90 million, I don't know. You could hundreds of millions, I don't know. But that's just my point. And that's why I'm saying is like, that's why I don't collect Funko Pops. I see the inherent problem, not only with Funko Pops, but, you know, sneakerheads, people who collect Legos, people who collect little cars, people who collect Gunpla. I collect Gunpla. I buy them, I build them. I've built in quite a few, like maybe like 15. So I can understand, like, people's passions are people's passions, but sometimes you really have to think about what you're getting into. And I think trading cards might be one of the greatest hobbies that anyone can get into, simply because of how much value you can fit in how much space. Just like you could get a bunch of silver and then you run out of space, and then you sell off your silver and you put it in gold and you get more space. And then it's just like, how much smaller can you get for something worth value? So that's why I don't like fucking Funko Pops. That, and they're just like fucking, they're just rip-offs, you know. Think about, like, you know, I don't know if you remember this. This was something that was like in the early 2000s, late 90s, stuff like that. Was a lot of the time the means of production, stuff like that. People were making stuff, companies would come out of nowhere, and then they'd move to China, or China would steal intellectual property of good companies, and then they just remake stuff. Like, I've bought stuff that I thought was legitimate, but it was from China, and it was literally made with Chinese, what they call Chinese pot metal. They don't have Chinese pot metal anymore. Even China has now grown. But the idea is that China, at one point in time, if you bought something from China, it was an embarrassment, because it was of lesser standard, less of quality, bound to break, and not as good as its actual counterpart. And this is what breeds that. You are buying something cheap. It's always supposed to be cheap. it's going to be cheap. It's cheaply made. They look like cheap. They look like shit from China because they are from China, and this is from America, from some high-end studio who probably has better technology, or they do lower production numbers so they can really focus on the quality. And that's just why I just don't like fucking Funko Pops, and I'll never really be into them. And that's why I like other collectibles. Don't get me wrong. I like my Legos. I like my Gunpla. But I'm never going to be a sneakerhead. I'm never going to really like Funko Pops. I will at some point buy one of these, but I've already done the mental jumping jacks myself and realized that Funko Pops are a waste of time. And even though I ended up like this can all be fit into a fucking closet. I don't want to end up like this. And that's just the truth. It's just, I don't want the wall of Funko Pop shame. It's just way too much shit. It takes up way too much space. And it's just not worth it. It's cost per size, however you want to understand it. The cost per size just doesn't make sense. And, buy what you want, but geez, if that's really your fucking hobby, I want to introduce you to trading cards. Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! There's some independent ones like Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo. There's even some ones that were independent a long time ago that have died. There's even other ones. There's either other things you can collect. But why? Why would you want to take up a whole lot of space? I don't know. And that's why Muesa is probably the best for for just humanity. You want stuff to hold value. You want to hold stuff. Buy silver until you can afford gold. Buy one Funko Pop until you can afford the real shit.